Hi there. Well, it's now less than 1 month until the big day itself. Nonetheless, it's still far too early to make a weather forecast for Christmas Day. Nonetheless, I thought I would try and look at some of the pointers using the computer model data that exists and goes out that far ahead. First of all, though, I just thought it would be interesting to recap a few of my Christmases from years gone by. Now, the first one that I can remember clearly was 1981. When I say I can remember clearly, I can remember ones before that, but in weather terms, this is the one which sticks in mind because it was one of the coldest Decembers on record and there was lots of snow around through much of the month, and it stayed cold for Christmas Day. This is the reanalysis chart, and what we can see is that although things were starting to change, the UK here was still under cold upper level air, and there had been significant falls of snow just before December the 25th. Very memorable. That was actually my first year at secondary school, so perhaps another reason why I can recall it quite well. Then the next one that sticks very, very clearly for me, this was the classic, I think, 1995. I was staying with my parents, who at the time lived near to the east coast in Yorkshire, somewhere close to Filey, and we had an extremely localised snowfall, but a very intense one through Christmas Day and into Boxing Day. It really just affected counties close to eastern England and eastern Scotland as this small area of low pressure moved down from the north, embedded in very, very cold air indeed. And I think by Boxing Day, it was probably about 30 or 40 centimetres of level snow even, and it had been drifting, so the hedges were buried in the surrounding fields. It was extremely impressive. I think probably, well, not probably, definitely was the snowiest Christmas that I have witnessed in the UK. Then moving forwards, December 2009. That brought very heavy snowfalls to the Chiltern region, which is where I was living by then. The first snow fell, I think, around about December the 18th, and a few days later we had another 15 centimetres or so. By Christmas Day, the weather was turning milder. You can see upper air temperatures easing across the United Kingdom. So the snow had been melting for a couple of days. Nonetheless, there was still quite a lot on the ground. Jumping forwards to 2010, the following year, bitterly cold. This would be the coldest Christmas that I've experienced. You can see it was December 2010 was the I believe it was certainly one of the coldest Decembers on record in the UK, if not the coldest. And we had a heavy snowfall here in Berkhamsted around about the 20th. Before then, it had been mostly dry and frosty, but the snow which fell stayed on the ground through the days leading up to Christmas, with daytime temperatures often remaining below 0 Celsius. So there wasn't a great deal of thawing, melting taking place. You can see by Christmas Day, though, again, things were starting to change. There were signs here of it beginning to turn milder from the west. And once a cold spell broke, just Boxing Day, the 27th in parts of the UK as well, winter didn't really return. We had quite a mild and nondescript January and February. So those are my favourite Christmases from years gone by. What about 2021? Well, I'll take a look at some of the Ensemble data for the festive period itself, just to try and get some, as I suggested earlier, pointers as to what may or may not be shaping up at this stage. First of all, the pressure anomaly chart from the GEFS 35-day run. This is for the week beginning Friday, the 24th of December. So it's averaging out the anomaly through the entire week. What we can see quite clearly is a strong positive anomaly over the UK. It's tended to be stronger as you head northwards. Taking it at face value, it suggests an increased chance of high pressure over the UK. What that means in terms of weather? Well, a greater chance of it being dry, possibly cold and frosty at night, maybe foggy too. Precipitation, well, with high pressure around, you would expect it to be mostly dry. Nonetheless, could be a few flakes of sleet or snow around. Just a few, perhaps, if it was correct. Looking at upper air temperatures, this tells a slightly different story. Again, it's for the week beginning the 24th, and it's showing anomalies. Across the south, it's zero. There's no anomaly there. It's exactly in line with the 30-year norm. As you head northeastwards, there's a little bit of pink shading showing up, which is suggesting upper air temperatures would be slightly above that average. All in all, that doesn't look good for snow at all. It suggests that although we could have high pressure close to the UK, the upper air mass is not going to be particularly cold. In fact, just very close to the 30-year average. So any precipitation coming down more likely to be falling as rain rather than snow. Not good news, I guess. Looking at the upper air temperature profile for individual locations, just to give a little bit more detail. Here's the London plot. You can see I've boxed out the Christmas period, the thick black line there, the 30-year average, the purple line, the mean of the ensemble. They are intertwined, so on some days the thick black line's a little bit above the ensemble mean, on other days a little bit below it. No big deviation. Ties in quite well there with that weekly anomaly chart which I've just shown. 2 metre temperatures for London. Well, once again, the thick black line is a 30-year norm. You can see the red lines there are the ensemble mean, max and minimums, and those are really intertwined, very close to that 30-year average. Again, no significant anomaly. Going up to Glasgow to see the picture at the opposite end of the UK, similar story here. No big anomaly. It's again fitting in with the weekly chart. 2 metre temperatures, the same thing. No strong signal here for it to be mild or cold, just some fluctuation through the week around the average. And Newcastle, so we're going up to northeastern England, of course, that's where the warmer upper level air was showing most clearly. Here perhaps there is something more of a signal which fits in with that weekly chart. You can see the purple line there perhaps being a little bit higher, a little bit more clearly above the thick black line than on the London and Glasgow plots. And in terms of 2 metre temperatures, this one certainly suggests milder rather than colder values being more likely. Now, that was a GEFS 35. I just wanted to show you the European ECMWF temperature anomaly chart for the week beginning the 20th of December. So we're going right through here to the 26th. On these charts, which are coming from the Hungarian Met Office, but generated by the European Centre for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, what you can see is the UK here is mostly under this light brown colour, orangey colour. Some white shading there, which indicates no anomaly, but generally, if anything, 2 metre temperatures through the week are being shown to be above the average. Not good for snow, obviously. Finally, the CFS. This is a computer model that's run in the United States. It goes out many months ahead. Lots of people discuss this and use data from it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it at all. I much prefer the GEFS 35 at this range, but I just thought I would use one of the charts here to illustrate what it's currently going for. You can see this is a pressure anomaly chart as well. Higher than average pressure to the west and the southwest of UK, lower pressure than the norm up towards Iceland, the northwest and Greenland. That really is not a pattern which would favour a white Christmas in most of the UK, although over the Scottish mountains, the rather unsettled and showery or long spells of rain coming through from the west would, of course, suggest that there's a chance of snow over the higher mountains there. Analogues. This is where recent weather patterns are compared with those in previous years to try and identify the best matches. And On the website this year, I'm running something called the Weather Analog Index. It updates every day and it's generated by comparing upper level pressure patterns across the northern hemisphere with the same day in each previous year going back to 1948. And as of today, the 27th of November, the 10 best matches are shown on this slide. So 1963, 68, 2005 being the top three. The question which is key, of course, here is which of those years produced a white Christmas, at least in parts of the UK, and which didn't. Well, the ones which didn't are quite clear: 2005, 1955, 1973, 2007. So that's 4 out of the 10. I think that's quite a low number all in all. And then if we look at the ones which did, 63, mostly in the Midlands northwards, 68 apparently in most of the UK. I don't remember these, I wasn't even born at the time. 2013 I was. Personally, I don't recall the snow, but the record suggests there was some in central locations. 2004, apparently there was snow in much of the UK. Once again, I don't think there was any locally here in the Chilterns. 1980, apparently snow in the Midlands and northwards. So all in all, 6 out of the 10 suggesting snow, at least in some parts of the UK. On these, I am of course excluding the Scottish Highlands where there will be snow more often than not. So taking the analogues at face value, they're probably slightly better than the average, I would think, in terms of suggesting a white Christmas. So the model data, all in all, rather mixed, but the analogues possibly more supportive of a white Christmas at this stage. So just to try and summarise all of that, the computer model data on the whole is quite mixed at the moment, but at this stage the GEFS 35 is pointing towards pressure being higher than average and upper air temperatures being close to the average. Taking those two things together, if they were correct, it would suggest an increased chance of dry conditions in much of the UK. The temperatures down at the ground level would be dependent upon where the high pressure was centred, the amount of cloud, the strength of winds. But there would be a reasonable chance of it being quite cold, perhaps frosty and foggy by night. Finally, the analogues, they possibly are leaning towards an increased chance of a white Christmas. 6 out of the top 10 generated snow, at least in part of the UK. And as I made the point there, I am excluding the Scottish Highlands where snow is a much more frequent occurrence. Therefore, although it is far too early to make a forecast for the Christmas period, some of the computer model data is tentatively suggesting there will be reduced mobility across the North Atlantic. If that is the outcome, it would suggest an increased chance of drier and possibly colder than average conditions. Also, the analogues look quite interesting, with a number of them matching up with years that produced a white Christmas in at least parts of the UK. So that's it. If you're hoping for a white Christmas this year, very much at this stage, still a case of keeping your fingers crossed. Right, I'm now going to see if I can find the batteries to make this lucky hat start flashing. The reason it's lucky is because it was given to me in December 1995, and that went on to be the snowiest Christmas in the UK that I have witnessed. So thank you for watching this. I hope you found it useful and enjoyed it. As ever, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Bye now.